And start. Okay, I think we're good. I think we are streaming. We'll see if this works, if this is real. If I'm just in dreamland right now. Don't really know. Okay, I'm waiting for Spice Bear, which is weird because I am Spice Bear. Huh. How's that work? How can I be waiting for myself? This is so existential and strange. Okay. I'm like monitoring YouTube. Here we go. Okay, I exist. The world is normal. Everything's great. Okay. Yeah. Schizo Territory 1.5 is on its way. I would have released it tonight, but I didn't feel like it, and I'm like thinking I have to make a thumbnail, and I got to figure out where I'm putting it. But yeah, Schizo Territory 1.5. Welcome to Schizo Territory. Essentially, it's just kind of outlining what I'm trying to do with the Schizo Territory series, which is kind of talk about. It's like it's almost like using sonar for the spirit realm, where you're kind of because you can't just see the spirit realm so easily. You have to like collect a bunch of clues, and Schizo Territory is essentially just outlining all of the clues I have on what the spirit realm is based on based on this. It's like sonar. It's like you're shooting out a signal and you're collecting data from the way that it bounces back. So yeah, that's the idea. I'm in my my bitter resentful arc right now. This is my bitter resentful phase. So I'm not even sure if I want to continue making Schizo Territory or making videos. It sucks. It's a lot of friggin' work, and I don't know if it's worth it. I might just write books or something instead. It might be better to do that. I'm not sure. So yeah, that is a thought that I'm having, is that it might just be better to write, or I don't know. I mean, I like making videos. There's things about it that I really like, but yeah, I don't know. It is not so worth it at the end of the day. It depends. Sometimes it's massively rewarding. The thing about live streaming specifically, all of those people who are successful live streamers and they're truthers and stuff, they are paid by shadow entities. Okay, they are not natural people who just got lucky. Because I tell you what, like you can't. They will put a boot on your neck every step of the way, and that counts for Rumble as well. Rumble doesn't want me there either. Nobody wants me because they only want liars, man. It's like, I'm sorry, but they only want liars. People who will suck their dick and make them feel real good about themselves, or about the mirror image of themselves that constantly dogs them around the pitiful life that they live. My life is pretty good, which is one of the reasons why I don't feel the need to suck up to these people. But yeah, I'm just very like I said, bitter, resentful arc. That's where we're at right now. I'm kind of glad there's nobody here because I can be real honest. If there was somebody here, I would feel like the sense to put on a face or something like that. I just don't care. Yeah, it sucks. It is what it is. I mean, the internet's evil. Not the internet itself, but like the way the internet is used is evil. And I don't know. I can't stop writing. Obviously, like I can't stop writing. That's not even in the question. Like, I can't stop doing what I do. It's just a matter of how am I going to get those ideas out there, because it's really annoying having like all of these ideas and it just sucks. I don't know how else to say it. It's like, man, okay, I want to get like be a little bit upbeat here. But yeah, no, it's You know what I've realized recently is that the truthers are also subject to the Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird. A lot of those truther channels, you will hear the exact same talking points out of one that you hear out of the other, and it's not a coincidence. It's because they're being given talking points by shadow entities, and yeah, just be careful. Watch your fucking back, because a lot of these truth tellers now, like, it's not that hard to see that truthers are a demographic, right? Let's describe the truthers as a demographic. What are they like qualitatively? Well, they don't like vaccines. They kind of like Trump. They can be like, they have a weakness for Trump, even though a lot of them see through him. You know, they like this, they don't like that. It's not that hard. So you write scripts for that demographic the same way that you write scripts for any demographic. Oh, they'll fall for that. Oh, they won't fall for that one. You know, it's marketing. It's advertising. It's Operation Mockingbird. You'll hear the same shit out of all these different talking heads, all these different truther talking heads. Okay? So, I'm not making any friends in the truth community, I realize, by being very, very truthful. You're gonna have to call it something else for me, because the whole world is just such a fucking inversion. You know, that's kind of the point of, like, being a truther, is to spot the inversions, but man, is it frustrating. Hey, David Cardone, keep it up. You're smart. I look forward to hearing the ideas you're going to disseminate with Schizo Territory. Well, that's cool. Thank you for being excited about it. I'm not anymore. I'm really not. I'm over it. I'm really over this shit. Like, it's just the constant shadow banning. It's just like, and I get it, because I'm in a bad mood right now. I'm like tired. I'm really tired. It's 9 o'clock. I should be in bed. But like, the constant shadow banning, and you know, on one hand, you're only shadow banned if you're a threat, right? So the fact that I'm being shadow banned on certain platforms, not all platforms, some platforms like me a lot, but Rumble's not really one of them. Rumble really wants me, like, not to show up, which is weird, because you would think that Rumble would be the one that's like, oh, Spiceberry, you're welcome here. No. No. That is not how it works. So, it's very tiring. It's exhausting. I feel very tired right now, and I don't know. I don't have a marketing team. Okay, let me just talk about some other shit besides just being so just done. You know, I have to be this weird, right? Weird, like, weirdness is tied to fate, right? Macbeth, the weird sisters, they were these witches dancing around a cauldron. They could see prophecy, they could see things other people couldn't. Weird is tied to fate. Some of us have to be this weird, right? Because we're holding the weirdness for all these other people who don't want to hold it themselves. So they put it on someone else. You know, a witch or a mystic or whatever it is. And I wonder if that's kind of what happened with the witchcraft trials, in a way. Because people don't want to hold their own weirdness. They have to put it on someone else. It's like a scapegoat kind of dynamic. It's very like Christ-like in a way. I don't want to compare myself to Christ in this instance, because Christ was not a magician as far as I know. But yeah, there's something about that where you're like, you have to put your weirdness on other people. And it's like the Muggles in Harry Potter, right? They're so afraid of their own agency that they become animal-like. That's very close to what happens in real life. And then there's people, the weird people, you know, the thinkers and the mystics and the hermits. And we kind of have to bear the brunt of this weirdness that everybody else is afraid to look at. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's the things that are happening right now. I am realizing that this point in society is a lot worse than you might think. I mean, like, we're constantly, truthers know this, right? In modern America, we are constantly sold the myth of our own progress, right? We pretend that we've eliminated slavery when in fact it's just changed forms. We pretend that the food is healthier even though it's lower quality than it's ever been. Sure, there's more of it, which is a good thing. There's more food. There's more, factory farmed meat for all of its horrors is actually kind of a good thing. A lot of people don't want to admit that one, but that's true because meat is very important to health. And anyway, a lot of these, we're constantly being sold this myth of our own progress, and the reality is horrifying, right? Because we have what Michael Hoffman calls a money power. Now, he's always used that phrase, and I was never really sure what he meant by that, a money power. And recently he did a podcast with My Family Thinks I'm Crazy, which is a good podcast. The Michael Hoffman interviews on MFTIZ are awesome. Definitely check those out. But the most recent one, Michael Hoffman is talking about the money power, and he kind of, for the first time that I've ever heard, defines what it is. Hey, Civility, Gorilla Boss, Gus Lane. Thank you guys for showing up. But Michael Hoffman, I'll look at the chat a little bit later. I'm just trying to get this ball rolling. He defined the money power, and he was basically saying, like, because of usury, because that you can charge interest for loans, which was forbidden for the longest time, the reason it was forbidden is because now we have this money power, where rather than the people who are inventors and laborers having power, you have money power, right? That's all it is. It's this money snowballing into power and more money, right? So spiritually speaking, when you paint with a broad brush, spiritually speaking, what's happening is that there's this giant transfer of power from the inventors and the laborers to the people who just happen to have money, right? It's like, that's what he means by that. So that's a really big issue, and that's the reason why we're seeing degeneracy and narcissism to an extent that is barely fathomable. Like, it's if you interact with human beings like regularly, you're probably really disappointed in your own species right now, because the levels of narcissism are so insane, where people just, like, they have no concept that someone is alive besides them. Their minds are broken by trauma. It's at the point where it's like, and it makes me wonder, like, is there going to be we have all this data now, right? We have all these demographics, right? You can profile someone based on their interests, based on whether they're a truther. Forget race and gender. We're way past that. You have all this micro niches, right? That you can hyper focus with data. And it makes me wonder, like, is that what the next Sodom and Gomorrah is going to be? Like, instead of just killing an entire town, is it going to be this, like, super focused, hyper, like, data-driven extermination of people who like, match certain criteria? You know what I mean? Like, is that the next Sodom and Gomorrah? That they're just going to start attacking or somehow finding a way to honestly get those people to kill themselves, which is usually what it is. Maybe it is, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just when you really see how fucking disgusting people are, it's really hard to... The world is so messed up right now because of... It's a lot of it is because of this money power thing, I think, that Michael Hoffman is talking about, where it's like... And it's not just the Jews, it's another point that he makes. There's plenty of money lenders that are not Jews. But when you incentivize money for the sake of money, and that's very dangerous. That's how, like, love of money is the root of all evil. A lot of people think that by love of money, Jesus was actually in a way referring to this, like, the practice of lending loans at interest. So, yeah, I don't know, it just makes me think, like, I'm so irritated with fucking people. Gorilla Boss says, holding the weirdness interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. It's like, we are these, I don't know about you, but, some people were just like these vessels of weirdness. And by weirdness, I do mean like that tie to fate, that tie to spirit and destiny. That it's like that's a burden that certain people have to carry for the muggles who don't feel like it, right? The muggles who are afraid to face it. The way that death is swept under the rug in society is completely crazy and insane, and that's why you get things like hospice, where the reasons that people die are so silly. And I don't know if it was like that all of the time, but the reasons that people die, it makes no friggin' sense at all. Like, it makes no sense. And if you had like holistic communities, if you had true communities taking care of people, you wouldn't see arbitrary death for no reason like that. But people have outsourced their agency to these golems, which is, very magical in nature. These corporate golems that people have given their agency to. There's always there's usually a consensual aspect to magic. And, yeah. Gus Lane says, I feel that we pretend that whatever we live in now is inevitable and use words like human nature and ideas like rationality and simplicity. Yeah, it's not that natural. It's an interesting interview that Michael Hoffman gave. I haven't finished it. I barely even scratched the surface of it, but that man always delivers, especially on My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. For whatever reason, that's a great platform for him. He gives really good interviews on that platform. And he has a lot of really interesting ideas. He was basically Downard's student. Downard was his mentor, I guess I should say. James Shelby Downard. We all know how I feel about James Shelby. But man, this was a cool fucking dream. It was it was like a month ago. It was back when I was invoking the Star Sirius, which I learned you should not do. For reasons that I will. There's going to be a whole episode about the Star Sirius. And, but yeah, I don't recommend getting too close to the Star Sirius. So, one of the visions I had when I was invoking Sirius was there was this man, and in my head he was James Shelby Downard, but he might not have been. And it was one of those things that seemed to come from outside of me, Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. This is not one of those things that I can offer, like, a logic-based proof for, besides the fact that I was invoking the Star Sirius at the time. Basically, I was with this man, and we were looking at this body lying on the street, and there was like, I guess it was a dead guy. I don't know. He was lying on the pavement in the street, and this guy was saying to me, he was like, notice the way this guy's lying down. He was like, it all means something. That's what he said. He said, it all means something. And that is essentially, he was able to see the witchcraft in American politics. He was able to see all of that stuff. And witchcraft and superstition, right? They think about how arbitrary superstition seems. If your nose itches, you're going to get in a fight, right? It's like, it seems arbitrary, but is it? It's tied to these strange magical correspondences, this strange, the great chain of being, chains of cosmic correspondence. The world works in very strange ways. Magic seems to be effect-based rather than cause-based, which is very odd. The structure of reality seems to be effect-based, where it's almost like when you do some kind of magical spell or ritual, whatever it is, you're aiming for a certain effect, right? And then the way that you're used to thinking every day is like, oh, there's this cause, I got up early today, and the effect is I had a really productive day, right? Magic is like the opposite of that. It's like the effect is this thing, And that's going to happen, and I don't know how it's going to happen, right? That's why it's like dangerous in that way, that it's like you have to be very legalistic with the way that you phrase certain things, because there's that idea of the like, be careful what you wish for because you don't know how you're going to get it. It's very strange. It's the opposite of what a lot of people think, where magic is very effect driven. And that's why you have things like these symbols, right? Where like people think that it's idiotic, but it's really not. I'm trying to think if there's like I don't know, like, can you guys see this? Yeah, okay, so like this moon symbol here, like that means something. You know what I mean? And if that shows up in your life organically, it could be tied to something else. So all of these symbols are tied together. If that symbol arises spontaneously in an omelet that you make, then you're going to be like, whoa, that's really weird. Like, and then it's almost like that. This is why people get so freaked out and, famous when they see the Virgin Mary in a slice of French toast. It's because it's like people kind of innately know that symbol means something, even though, well, like, did I fry it in like more butter than usual? Like, what did I do? Like, the cause isn't as interesting as the effect, and the effect is like, I'm running out of words to describe this. It doesn't matter how the symbol got there, really, because the impulse for that symbol to create itself was there. It found a way. You know what I mean? It's like the symbol, the effect matters. The cause doesn't matter that much. It's really difficult to explain. This is another reason why I want to create Schizo Territory, to kind of explain this. But yeah, Schizo Territory 1.5 is coming out soon. I guess I should make a good thumbnail for it. I really hate, it's like, there's so much fucking shit. There's so much shit. It's like, I gotta make the thumbnail, I gotta figure out where I'm putting it, I can make teasers later for it. I do need to make teasers, though, where it's just like, go to YouTube to watch this full episode, because I'm not putting this whole thing on Instagram. So people on Instagram, I don't know, maybe I should. I don't know. It's like 10 minutes long. It's not as long as the fish video. It's like an 11-minute long. Consensual magic is a crazy way to phrase it. I liked Schizo Territory. Great. Yeah, well, Schizo Territory episode 1 was fish. That was just episode 1. Consensual magic. Yeah, consent magic is a real thing. It's very... It's reality is magical. The nature of reality is more magical than it is anything else. It's not this material chain of causality that people have been led to think. It's just not. So I was talking earlier about, the weirdness, how, like, as a weird person, as a person who is tied to fate in some way, tied to the spirit realm, whatever the fuck it is. I mean, weird means tied to fate. You have to carry this burden for people who don't want to look at it. And one of the things that's so backwards about our society right now is that all you really have, magically speaking, is this fetishization of, like, witchy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there are true mystics, there always will be, but they're not treated with any respect. And, it's kind of the opposite of that, right? Like, and maybe that's always the case, but if you think about a healthy society, if you think about, like a nation, there's a place for the mystics, right? There's no place for the mystics right now in society, besides, like, the streets. Like, it's very difficult. It's difficult to, I don't know, I think it's just, I'm just burnt out. I'm burnt out of people being shitty. Like, just slime, ooh, I have to go to a funeral tomorrow. I don't know. Let me think if I want to tell this whole thing. What do I want to tell about this story? So I do think that it's true that when you die, you're given a choice, some of the time at least. Do you want to stay here and like be with your loved ones as a ghost, or do you want to pass on? And I I now think that that is the case because I know somebody who died recently who had kids, and really horrible, awful. Um, may she rest in peace. But my mom actually had this dream that she showed up to a party that we were having, and like she was like different. And my mom knew, this is the thing that was interesting. My mom knew in the dream that this is a person who had died. Now that's unusual because a lot of the time, personally, when I have dreams about dead people, in the dream, I don't realize they're dead. I'm not like, oh, they died back, April a couple years ago. I'm just thinking that they're alive. They've always been alive. They're still alive. Like I'm totally in the frame of mind that they are still alive. My mom's dream wasn't like that. She actually had a dream um, that this woman showed up to the party, and my mom realized in the dream that this woman had died, and I feel like that means that she hasn't moved on yet, because she wants to make sure that her kids are okay. So I just kind of wanted to float that idea because I do think that that's real now. Dreams are your connection to the spirit realm in a big way. Dreams matter a lot. They if you look at the CIA document about the gateway process, they talk about how during REM sleep, um, pretty much everybody astrally projects during REM sleep, and that's not necessarily known, but and the science behind this is very wiggly. I don't think there is some science obviously to this, but it's not all. They don't have it as figured out as they would like to scientifically. I don't even know if it's possible for them to have that figured out. But basically, the claim that paper makes, the CIA gateway process paper, is that everybody astrally projects during REM sleep, not just some people, not just psychics, not just people who are really skilled at astral projection. No, like literally everybody does it. Um, ba 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 ba. In Jewish eschatology, they believe the dead remain for a while to watch over you after they die. Yeah, that's interesting. I think some people watch over you, and I feel like other people just kind of peace out. Honestly, like maybe not. Maybe some people. Maybe everybody stays behind a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like some people might just get right out. I think some people are like, staying as a ghost seems like it would be terrible. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how it is, how it works. But I think it's kind of a choice that people have, where it's like, and that's the interesting thing is that in this dream she showed up to a party. She showed up to a party. Almost like an I'm here kind of thing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think some people, I mean, it makes sense that you would stay behind for a little while to watch over your kids, right? I had a dream. And at that point, when you're a spirit like that, you're outside of time. I don't think you really, I don't think you interact with time the same way that a living person does. I think that you're somewhat outside of time when you're a ghost, when you're a spirit. Um, I had a dream where I was in a building last night. I think it's because I walk around university lots. Hmm. Okay. Use Terry Davis in your next schizo video thumbnail. Um, who are you, civility? Are you a mop guy? The mop guys are all obsessed with Terry A. Davis. Hey, chat, do you know who Terry A. Davis is? Would you recognize a picture of him if I showed you a picture? Would you recognize him? I'm curious because I really have very little. I don't really know much about that guy, and I know a lot of people like worship him because he. You are a mop guy. Yeah. Um. A lot of the mop guys are gay for Terry Davis. He's getting popular right now. And know the associations. Well, tell me what does he have to do with schizo territory, really? What did he like say that was spirit realmy? Sifu loves you. That's nice. Sifu doesn't love anybody though, I don't think. Oh, I hope Sifu's doing good. Stop ignoring his DMs. What? I've had a lot of creepy creepers sending me DMs lately. God, when I die and I'm a spirit, am I just gonna be hanging out with like the mop guys and they're fucked up weird ass spirits? He think his own operations is his third temple. He thought his operating system was the third temple and he communicated with God through it. He believed that God sent him to program the third temple. Whoa. Hi, Johnny Cox. Can you, like, nobody has ever sent me, like, a good link with which to investigate Terry Davis and, like, his third temple bullshit. People always want to be like, ugh, let me tell you everything I know about him. And I'm like, can you just, like, send me to like, a primary source or something? I don't know. That's hilarious. He thought God wanted him to program the third temple. Yes, please send me something on Discord. Because I'm tired of hearing about Terry Davis. Like, who the fuck is that guy? I know Pools. I once paid Pools to make me like a video. Actually, it was the intro to Schizo Territory, which I need to put in. The new one I've just remembered. I paid Pools to make me an intro for Schizo Territory, and it was god awful. Even though he's really talented as an editor, it was not a good video. But he used a clip of Terry Davis, and he was like playing hopscotch or some shit. It was weird as hell. It was really weird. Down the rabbit hole, DTRH, like the old Isn't DTRH the flat Earth guy? I'm blanking on his name right now. Mike. What is his name? Flat Earth guy. Isn't he DITRH? Down in the rabbit hole. It's an hour and 25 minutes. You can download Temple OS. Okay, well that's a good. I can write that down. Down in the rabbit hole, Terry Davis programmed third temple operating system. I thought DITRH was the flat Earth guy. Am I nuts? Oh, that's what Temple OS is. It's his. Dave Weiss. Yeah, isn't Dave Weiss the DITRH guy? Cool. Check Discord. I'm just gonna write myself a note. Okay. Sometimes I was wondering to myself, like, why do I even do live streams? And then I remembered how insufferable it is to just always be talking to normies. And, like, People who just don't get it at all. And I was like, oh, right, that's why. That's why I do live streams. I'm like really not nihilistic because I'm not narcissistic. I'm like, I have like a soul in me. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that the truth community needs more of, I feel like. Or maybe I just need more people in my life that have actual souls instead of these, ooh, Terry Davis obsessed ghouls in the mop. You can, he's not a flat earther. I'm not saying that Terry Davis is a flat earther. I'm saying that Dave Weiss, DITRH, is a flat earther. Flat earth isn't a belief, it's measured flat. Yeah, so most of the, dude, flat earth is a rabbit hole that I'm not willing to go down right now, but it's, okay, so one of the most convincing proofs I've seen for the round earth is not actually a proof, which is the radio horizon. It's like the square root of 2 times h times L, and that allegedly proves that the earth is round because that's the way that you would calculate the radio horizon on a ball. What people don't realize is that in order to prove that the earth is round, you would also have to prove that that formula does not work for any other for any other world shape. You would have to prove that that formula could only be the result of a spherical earth and not any other type of shape. And because that formula is most likely an approximation, and most of the proofs offered by, I won't even call them globe earthers because I don't want to like label them like that. What I will call them is people who hate flat earthers. Most of the proofs offered by people who hate flat earthers, the supposed proofs of the globe earth, are not actually proofs. And the further you dig into them, the more you realize that there's really nothing. There's no basis in reality for those proofs. It's like, what can I compare it to? It's like being told, like, oh, well, don't you know that snipers calculate the Coriolis effect? They factor that in when they snipe, and then years and years go by. You just accept that because some angry person told you that you're an idiot because you didn't know that, and then decades later you find out actually snipers don't use the Coriolis effect at all. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things where it's so easy to... People who think they know, they don't actually know. And I'm open to proofs, but the thing, like, I'm like a mathematician. I can do proofs. Most people can't. Most people aren't on this level. Flat Earth. The Earth isn't flat. It's hollow with a black sun and an inner Earth. What's the black sun? Tell me about the black sun. Is that Saturn? Is that something else? Is the black sun inside the Earth? What's the inner Earth like? So many questions. I mean, it could be flat though, is the thing. Like, I haven't seen anything that like 100%. It's like there's a whole wall between normies and me. Like, they think in a fundamentally different manner. They don't think. Their manner of thinking is like inside of a box. Because if they go outside of that box, they're afraid of getting yelled at. You have to kill your inner normie. Because we all have that. We all have that person who's afraid of getting yelled at. I love geometry. Geometry is cool. Saturn is the black sun. Yeah. Okay. What is the function of the black sun? Yeah, everything most people think they know was just told to them and they just believe it. Exactly. Yeah. Proof is actually really hard to come by. What did the Nazis figure out? So the Nazi cosmology, I was looking into that recently because of Aldebaran, but the Nazi cosmology was really interested in ice. It believed that ice was where Earth, or was where life came from, which is interesting because everybody knows that the Nazis were in Antarctica doing God knows what, probably occult rituals of some kind. The Nazis aren't what you think they are. However, in a manner of speaking, the Nazis won the war. That's the thing that people don't understand. I was looking up Whale.2 the other day. Great resource. I love Whale.2. Not all of that information's good, but much of it is. So one of the great Whale.2 websites that I came across was whale.2/b/holocaust_revisionism.html. That's a really good website, and he links to all of these. The reason I'm giving you the exact URL is because if I tell you the name of these videos, you're not going to be able to find them, even though they're still on YouTube. There's a really good series on YouTube. It's actually a book, but the guy who wrote the book gave an interview. It's called Hitler Was a British Agent. Those are very interesting. Hitler was a British agent. But if you go to that link, the Whale.2 link, they have the link for the YouTube videos. And the Holocaust story started out as propaganda, and at the war end served to hide the British Tavistock creation of the war, along with war and post-war crimes, while it helped create the State of Israel and now helps justify the present genocides in Palestine and Iraq. It is the main source of Zionist power. Also, one of the main uses for the hoax is to maintain humans can be evil. That's a whole webpage. Eisenhower's death camps. There's a link to Eisenhower's death camps. World War II is insane wizardry. I just realized that there's WW in that. When there's something about, a lot of people say that it ties to the star Sirius. It's so weird. A lot of things tie to the star Sirius that you wouldn't think do. That is true, but there's something about the Twin Peaks, and I think that I've heard different theories about what the Twin Peaks are. I think that there are Twin Peaks in the world of the dead. Just to guess. There are these Twin Peaks in the world of the dead. I can explain that. That's another thing that ties into Sirius. I'll talk about that in my Sirius video. Supposedly Satan is buried under Antarctica. That's interesting. Mobius strip Earth. Yeah, exactly. See, this is why I do live streams, and that's the thing, is that I was over planning my live streams. I was trying to have them be episodes of Schizo Territory. No. You have to that's not what this is. This is a way for me to connect with people in real time. So I can't do the song and dance shit. Satan is buried under Antarctica. Yeah, so Antarctica is as far as you can go south, right? As far as you can go south. And on the flat earth model, which I find it really interesting, even though I'm not necessarily a flat earther, the south is the outer ring of the disk, right? So anywhere that you are on Earth, if you're going south, you're going towards the outer ring. So if you're going east, you're going, what would that be, clockwise. If you're going west, you're going counterclockwise on the ring. And it's isomorphic to a sphere. It really is. It's isomorphic to a sphere. But Tavistock is a rabbit hole I've been going down lately too. This is kind of cool. I can just kind of talk about some of the things I've been researching. you know, because people know things like, okay, so Sage Aquay talks about Tavistock a lot, and he's a good resource. Um, he talks about the Beatles a lot, how the Beatles were a Tavistock creation, and Paul is dead, kind of conspiracy, all this stuff. I'm not really too interested in that stuff. I am interested in um, music is witchcraft and the astrological channeling that's in music, which I'm going to have to do a lot of videos about astrological channeling in music. But um, what am I thinking? Tavistock. What I didn't realize about them is that, you know, they're behind the wars. Like I didn't fucking realize that. Like that's what um, that's what Whale.2 was saying with that quote. Uh, Whale.2. The Holocaust story started out as propaganda and at the war end served to hide the British Tavistock creation of the war. That's weird, right? And John Coleman's book, I think he's definitely last name is Coleman. His book on Tavistock is really enlightening, and it mentions, you can actually find the audiobook on YouTube, so you can just listen to it. It's like 5 hours long. And basically, um, one of Tavistock's goals was actually to degrade women, which is interesting. So, of course, Tavistock created feminism, or at least they played a large hand in the creation of feminism, which is, you know, a degradation of women. But the way that John Coleman wrote it in the book, he said, with Christ, the role of women actually became exalted. He said, even if you compare the role of women in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, it was still exalted under Christ in a way that it wasn't in any of those societies. So, which is odd. You don't really think about that Christ was the one who stood up for women. You don't think about that. And Tavistock's whole goal was to erode the status of women, which is horrifying. It's horrifying. Um, that's that's why I'm very anti-prostitution. I'm not sex positive. I'm not any of that stuff, because it's all actually a guise to degrade women. Music is just programming. I can give you the URL again, Gus Lane, if you want. You got a pen? Go to one way to find information. If you go to some unusual search engines, some search engines that you wouldn't normally use, and type whale.to and then whatever subject you're trying to find. That's something that I do. Programming that enters the subconscious mind when the conscious mind has its guard down. Yes. Okay, Gus, I'll give you the thing. Grab a pen. You have like 10 seconds to grab a pen. Because I just want to address Miles' point real fast. Yes, that's another thing that we need to talk about, Miles. Programming that enters the subconscious. Yes. Alright. Alright, Gus. Let me get you this link. Come on. It's http:// so the usual whale.to/b/holocaust_revisionism.html. So whale.to/b/holocaust_revisionism.html. Yeah, that whale.to is great. It's great. And that's another thing that's really weird about the whale symbol complex that's been popular lately, right? So that when somebody buys a lot of a coin, like an altcoin, they're called like a whale. I think that's what a whale is. I could be wrong. what else is a whale? When on Rumble uses whales, little whale icons, which I think is a reference to the altcoin thing. Jews are under a matriarchy. You think that the reason they're degrading women is because Jews are under a matriarchy? How does that... What's the logic there? Oh, another thing that I didn't expect Coleman to get into in the Tavistock book is he talks about the Khazarians. And he says that... Let me just pull up that little piece of gravy for y'all, you good people here. This is such an interesting excerpt. So yeah, I'm just going to read some of this. After Christ's ministry, womanhood gained a respect and a high place in society absent from pre-Christian civilizations. Of course, it can be argued that such an elevated status existed in the Greek and Roman empires, and that would be true to a certain extent, but not to the extent that womanhood was elevated in post-Christ society. Tavistock sought to change that, and the process began immediately after World War I. The Eastern Orthodox Church, which the Rus, Viking, princes of Moscow brought back from Constantinople, revered and respected womanhood, and their experience with the Khazarians, whom they subsequently defeated and drove out of Russia, left them determined to protect womanhood in Russia. The founder of the Romanov dynasty, Michael Romanov, was the scion of a noble family that had defended Russia on the basis of a Christian country. From 1613, the Romanovs sought to ennoble Russia and imbue it with a great spirit of Christianity, which meant also protection for and the honoring of Russian womanhood. The princes of Moscow, under Prince Dmitry Donskoy, I guess that's how you say that, earned the unremitting hatred of the Rothschilds for Russia because of Donskoy's defeat and expulsion of the Khazarian hordes that inhabited the lower regions of the Volga. This barbaric warrior nation of mysterious Indo-Turk origin had adopted the Judaic religion on passage of a decree by King Bulant after the religion was approved by the chief Khazarian soothsayer, magician, sorcerer, David El Roy. Now that's interesting. So these people, the Khazarians, adopted Judaism after King Bulant made this decree, and the Judaic religion was approved by Chief Khazarian soothsayer, magician, sorcerer, David El Roy. That's what he calls him. That's all hyphenated. Soothsayer, magician, sorcerer. It was El Roy's personal flag, now called the Star of David, that became the official flag of the Khazarian nation when they settled in Poland after being forced out of Russia. And that's why they said Poland was known as the land of the Jews or something like that, right? They called it the paradise of the Jews. That's what they called Poland. So that's where they went after being forced out of Russia. The Star of David flag was adopted by the Zionists as their standard and is still mistakenly called the Star of David. Christians make the error of confusion linking it with the Old Testament King David when in fact there is no relation between the two. So, in other words, the Star of David was actually David El Roy, who was the Khazarian chief. That's really interesting. Yeah. Coleman also wrote a book on the Committee of 300. Okay. I'm a composer and music teacher. I teach my students about the significance of musical structures. Okay. Khazarians worship big stones and phalluses before they converted to Judaism. Sounds oddly familiar. They became Jews to piss off the Christians and Muslims. Huh. Do you teach your students about that? That's what Lothrop Stoddard said in the 1920 book, The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Supremacy. Copying that. Ghost Rider 69. Ghost Rider 69. Yeah, so... what was I just going to react to? My brother is Muslim, and when I visit, he takes me to the mosque, and on one of them that he took me to, there was a seemingly comprehensive history of Israel and Palestine on the wall, and it featured the Khazarians for some reason. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. They became Jews to piss off the Christians and Muslims. That's interesting. Yeah. I can see that. Well, you see how Owen turned out, LOL. Yeah. I don't know what you mean by that, actually. Did people see recently what happened? I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want that guy to fucking kill me. But remember that whole thing about me getting kicked out by that guy? And people were like, you must have done something to deserve it, because no one would just do that. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys see the news there? We're not gonna get into that. European Jews are barely of Semite DNA. They adopted Judaism to fight off other European tribes. Right. So that's the whole thing that Coleman's saying in the book. He's saying that he's more of a Fed than no. They're both equally Feds. Fuentes is more of a Fed than Owen because at least Owen doesn't portray the pattern of a Fed the way Fuentes does. Fuentes is the embodiment of a Fed, like a cookie cutter. Like look up Glowy in the dictionary, you will see a picture of Fuentes in his little suits. But yeah, no, so yeah, that's the whole point, is that the Khazarians adopted Judaism as a because of a decree of some king. Explain why Fuentes is a Fed? Are you new here? Are you like, what? Fuentes is, I mean, he's king Fed. He's always been that. What does Fuentes say? Give me one thing that Fuentes says that makes you think he's not a Fed. How about that? Like, he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars from live chats. Don't his parents like work in DC? Like, I don't even know that part. You don't even need that. You don't even need to get into who his family is. It's just like Fuentes tells people to be like a glorified form of normie, basically. He's king Fed. He's always been that way. I hate being able to see things that other people can't see. I hate it. Like, I love it, I guess, but I also hate it. It's like, it's this Cassandra shit again and again. Because with Fuentes was one of the worst in the beginning when I first became a truther, and I learned at an extremely fast rate, because I'm like, that's what I do. I learn things very quickly, and fucking people couldn't see through Fuentes at first, and then they started to, just like with Sam, people couldn't see through Sam. They were like, he's really offended at underage, statutory rape. That's why he talks about it all the time, because he's so repulsed by it. I'm like, you're stupid. probably gay? No, Fuentes is not probably gay. No. No. Okay. Probably gay? Oh my god, dude. I'm sorry. It's so depressing. Y'all need me. You dumb motherfuckers need me. I'm sorry. It gets tiring. Because it's like, no, you can, call me in 10 years, tell me I was right. But this is all known. People know about Fuentes. Have you seen the video? Okay, just to address the probably gay thing. Fuentes hates women in a way that only gays do. And only gays and certain types of semi-straight narcissists do. But that Catboy that he went on the date with, somebody asked him during a live stream, Catboy Cammy, they were like, does Fuentes, like, have a girlfriend, and, like, what's her name, and, like, what does she look like? And he just, like, busted out laughing, laughed his ass off on camera at the idea of Nick having a girlfriend. Okay, just so you know, like, apparently one of my first videos that is still up, I think, on my channel, a lot of my older stuff I took down, because Devin Stack bullied me. One of the oldest videos that's still up is me with, like, a dyke cut calling Nick Fuentes a gay guy. It's so ironic and funny. Apparently the Christians and Muslims were pressuring the Khazarians to convert. Yeah, I just read all that. Are you paying attention? Okay, I'm sorry. It's just, like, annoying. It's like, oh, I have gravy. Actually, I'm just gonna say the shit that you literally just said. I remember Catboy Cammy. Yeah. Yeah, I just read a really great excerpt from the Tavistock book all about how the the Khazarians converted to Judaism. Like, I just had a whole conversation about that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't read the chat. Maybe I shouldn't read the fucking chat, because it just pisses me off. You know what? I'm going to go eat a snack and play with my dog before I go to bed. Thanks for coming around. I'll do another one of these live streams. Yeah, I don't know. No apologies here. I'm a bitch. Alright? Like, that's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.